Hello, Squid and Octo kids. Welcome to It's a Splat Theory. I'm your host, Kat, and if you watched the Splatoon 3 Direct, you might remember that there was a mention of a large-scale paid DLC. Well, using the hero mode for Splatoon 3, and the very little information they have given us, and a whole lot of slightly educated guessing, I am going to try and predict the story of Splatoon 3's DL. First, let's start with the information we do have. When they announced that there would be a DLC, they showed us the silhouette of Pearl and Marina. And that's it. That's all they gave us. Nothing more. No other hints, just two characters that are going to be in the DLC. But have no worries, this video will not be extremely short. Though Nintendo may not know it, but they have given me enough clues to create a theory on the DLC. Or 3 theories. Where we start with the theory is what character we will be playing. And I am completely convinced that we will be playing a different species. The first reason being that in the first Splatoon game, you were able to play as only one type of sea creature. And in Splatoon 2, you could play as 2. And so that has to mean you can play as 3 in Splatoon 3. I mean, the game does seem to be obsessed with the number. And I hear you asking what sea creature we will be playing, and I am 98% convinced that we will be playing as a salmonling. It just makes the most sense. The story mode was filled with stuff about Grizzco, and Little Buddy also plays a major part. So it would make sense that the DLC would continue on the salmonid train, as well as the fact that they are the only other species in Splatoon that we know for a fact uses ink. I did leave an extra 2% in case we play as a jellyling or a crustacean or something like that. I doubt that would be the case, but we can't be sure just yet. Now, there are 3 ways I think this story mode will go. The first way is that we continue off of what happened in the story mode, where a salmonling perhaps finds Mr. Grizz crashed onto Earth after floating in space since the span of the time Splatoon 3 came out to when the DLC is released. Now, there are 2 directions they could take this. One is that Mr. Grizz turns into a good guy, having learned his lesson. He just wants to move forward. And if Nintendo does take this route, he might just end up helping you through the DLC alongside Off the Hook. But even more likely, I think he will still be evil, or at least a boss. And I think it might be fun if he ends up beating this helpless salmonling. And as they lie there, Grizz turns to the horizon and says, "Now it's time to get my company back." Next cutscene is Off the Hook finding this salmonling helpless on the ground, and they end up helping them. I think most of the story mode after is traversing the outskirts of the Splatlands, trying to make it to Splatsville, the city of chaos. Oh, and when they get there, it is in complete chaos. For there's a gigantic bear in the middle of Splatsville wreaking havoc. But this time the salmonling is not alone. You have Pearl and Marina with you. And after the first phase of the fight, the rest of the new Squidbeak Splatoon, and I mean all of the new Squidbeak Splatoon, shows up. I want 4 and 8 back. After, I would say 3 phases of the fight, you and the rest of the new Squidbeak Splatoon finally beat Mr. Grizz, and as he falls to the ground in defeat, all the screens start to glitch and show static. And for the other version of the DLC, where Mr. Grizz is good, the new Squidbeak Splatoon came to fight Mr. Grizz, but Off the Hook and the salmonling were able to convince them that he is no longer evil. And then the same sequence will occur for both versions. The screen's clear, and on all of them is the same picture of little Judd. Thank you for taking care of Mr. Grizz for me and making my way to world domination even easier, he purrs. And everyone in the city is shocked. Little Judd is evil? Who would have thought that? He goes on to have a villain monologue about how he has hated Judd and has always known that he's just a clone of him, and has always schemed to push past his shadow, and has been watching both the Inklings and Octarians from afar so he can learn from them. And suddenly, bursting through the door of Grizzco Industries are brainwashed Inklings and Octolings, carrying the Grizzco weapons. And soon all of the new Squid Beaks platoon is overwhelmed. There are too many of them, and soon the Salmonling is alone again. The next part of the DLC is a massive fight. The Salmonling is forced to fight the Inklings and Octolings to free their allies. And with each one you free, they have your back, fighting the brainwashed citizens of the Splatlands and helping you free the others. After you've freed all of the new Squid Beaks platoon, the on-screen Little Judd throws a bit of a fit, saying that he had planned everything out. It was supposed to be easy. He was trying to do it the nice way. He was being the good guy. And then the video cuts out. And out of the sky comes a giant mech with Little Judd inside. And it seems to be a cross between the Octo Kings and the Niels statue. Another fight ensues, and part way through, Judd shows up, walking straight up to Little Judd. He apologizes and says that if Little Judd stops this, he can take Judd's spot. But Little Judd smacks him aside, saying that he is way beyond that now. Finally, we finish with one huge phase. With everyone working together, they are able to beat Little Judd, saving the world. Then we have my second thought on what will happen. I think that another possibility is that we play a Salmonling that is uncontent living with the Salmonids and wants to go to the Splatlands, and with shenanigans off the hook finds them. And the story mode is the Salmonling having to go to different salmon run stages, reaching closer and closer each time to the Splatlands. And who your enemies are, you ask? Well, Grizzco employees, of course. And eventually the Salmonling will reach the Splatlands to find more Salmonlings who escaped their old lives and came to the City of Chaos. This last one is where we could see a different species that isn't a Salmonling, although I'm not sure what the species would be. From the Hammerhead Bridge, you can see the Neo statue, almost completely sunken into the water, and I think this might be more than an Easter egg. I think it might be foreshadowing for the upcoming DLC. They could have the surprise return of Commander Tartar. Somehow he survived the giant ink explosion, and now he's back for revenge, and this time he will succeed. Or someone else might find the Neos and take it over, and then we'll have to fight them. Or the playable character will find it and go exploring, and with Off the Hook they'll destroy all the remaining DNA sludge and any remnants of the blender that there might be. That's all for today. Comment your own theories on the DLC below. And if you enjoyed the video, super jump over that like button, splat the subscribe, and ring the notification bell. And as always, stay fresh, stay off the hook, stay cool, and catch ya later, Squid and Octo kids.